Dishonorable Minister of Home Affairs, this is a vlog letter to you, inviting you to take a day, actually take 5 days off of sitting in your office and go visit the Randburg Department of Home Affairs. I am actually still shaking with anger at the level of non-service that not only is the system broken, that you queue all day, a queue out the road, onto the road from 6 o'clock in the morning. I queued until 3:30 with my husband, out of work, with my daughter, only to get to the second queue, because you've got a queue to get a ticket, then you've got a queue again in another line to get your fingerprints and your photographs taken. And then you get to there and they tell you that the system is down. The system is down every single day. The system is actually broken. Then we queue again and we get to the front and they say, sorry, the office is shutting because there's a fire at whatever, and don't come back next week because we're renovating the buildings and we'll be closed for a week. When we went back again, nothing had changed. There was no renovations on the building. Queue again, and eventually we get through there. So that's now 2 days off, 2 people that aren't at work, not earning any money to pay their taxes, to get departments like yours to actually run efficiently. Then we get an answer to say the passports are ready. We go on Monday, queue again at 6 o'clock because the queue's around the block already. We get there and again the systems are down by 11:30. So that was another morning wasted. Then my husband goes back yesterday, queues again for 5 hours and gets to the front of the queue, and they won't give him my passport because they want fingerprints done again, which were actually taken when you first apply for your photographs. So he gets my daughter's passport and I had to go back and queue again today. So I sat there from 6:30 in the morning in the queue again, and you get to talk to people and everybody is pissed off because everybody's done exactly the same and tells the same story or a version of it where they're actually taking unpaid leave. And looking at it, 300 people in a queue, that's a lot of lost productivity. That's a lot of lost earnings for a lot of people. And yet you still take the taxes and you still don't improve your systems. And every time it's another story. So when I get into the building today, I asked the woman in charge, I think her name was Tatla. I asked her a question, because you got to sit and then you got to queue and then you sit in a chair and half of them are broken. And I just said to her, I'm really curious why your sign says war on queues and at the bottom it says we care. And clearly the queues aren't getting any shorter. Actually, the whole system is getting even worse. And when I asked her, she just stared at me with absolute contempt in her eyes, didn't answer me and walked by. So I said to her, excuse me, I asked you a question. Could you just actually answer me? Why is it going so slow? There's two people on the desks where there's actually 6 counters. That's why it's going so slow. And they told me, oh, the system is slow. Well, if the system is slow and you've got a war on queues, why don't you actually upgrade your systems and make sure that you stay online and put more people behind the counters, so that the people don't have to queue for take 5 days out of their working days just to get a passport or a birth certificate. I mean, I can't believe it. So she wouldn't answer me. So I took out my camera and I pretended to be filming just what was going on in that building. And she said to me, you're not allowed to film in here. You're not allowed to film, and you're not going to get your passport unless you delete the video. So I said to her, well, if she just answered my question, I wouldn't have had to take a video. And anyway, I was just pretending. So she made me sit there and she passed people over me. So I sat, I was being punished like a child. And I said to her, this isn't really the way to resolve anything. and now you're punishing me because I asked a question? And she said, yes, I'll sit there for as long as she decides that I will sit there, and she will not give me my passport until I delete the video. So I said to her, I was just pretending. I gave her my phone. She had a look. She could see there was no video that had happened in that office. And then she made me sit there for another half an hour while other people went by, past me, that were behind me in the queue. And by that stage, I was totally, utterly livid. And I said to her, I'm going to actually send a letter to the Minister of Home Affairs. Not that it'll do any different, because clearly he doesn't give a shit. Obviously, he's never had to stand in a queue, and obviously his income is not affected by the fact that people have to take unpaid leave just to get an ID document or a passport from the Minister of Home Affairs and his departments that are running half empty. And then she said to me, give me your ID book because I'm going to make a complaint because you're disrupting the office by asking so many questions. So that's how my morning started today. I'm still shaking. You can tell my hand is still shaking. It takes a lot to make me angry, but I was seriously angry about the way that I was treated there and discriminated against because I was asking questions. And of course, everybody else there just wants to get their stuff. So they all put their heads down and nobody said a word. But outside in the queues over the last couple of days of this horrendous experience, I've spoken to a lot of people and they're all pissed off and they all agree that the system is broken, and it's not a racial thing. Everybody in that queue, white, colored, black, Indian, all had the same horrendous experience. And I'm challenging the Minister of Affairs, Home Affairs, to actually get out there, stand in the queue, talk to some people in the queue, and actually find out what he can do to actually improve a broken system. And I am going to send this to carte blanche, and I hope that they actually do some inquiry into it, because if they're closing for 7 days to do renovations on the building, and the building is still broken, and the chairs are still broken, and the place is still like it looked in 1970, where's the budget? Where's the money going for the so-called upgrades? It wasn't in the computers, it wasn't in their systems, and it certainly wasn't in the building. And it has to stop, because this is not how you treat taxpayers who are actually creating the jobs and the revenue supposedly to upgrade systems. So that's my rant for today. If you've had a similar experience at any of the Department of Home Affairs, please comment below and let's do something to change the broken systems, because to just shrug our shoulders and say nothing's going to change and nobody cares, it might be true, but you know, things only change when you speak up, and we can't keep being apathetic and being treated like third-grade citizens. It's just not okay. So please, if you've had an experience, comment below, and let's be the change that we want to see in this country. Thank you. Bye.